All right, so my name is Joe Constanty, based in Shanghai, where we operate our design studio for NIU. NIU is an electric scooter company where our headquarters are in Beijing. Our factory is based just outside of Shanghai as well. The company came together about 3 years ago as a simple sketch. And in those 3 years, we have now become the largest smart scooter company, electric smart scooter company in the world. In that time, in about 1.5 years of sales, with just 2 different scooters, we've sold about 220,000 electric scooters. Let me put this in perspective for you. China, where I'm based, sells about, in total across the market, about 26 million electric two-wheelers every year, primarily scooters. Population 1.4 billion people. Europe, Greater Europe, population approximately 800 million people, sold less than 10,000 units in 2015. So the future of two-wheel mobility is coming from little old China halfway around the world. Now, I'm here today to talk a little bit about how we built our brand in China and then how we're bringing it global. So how we got started in the China market was really focusing on our key partnerships with Bosch and Panasonic. So every one of our motors in our scooter is with Bosch. Our batteries are coming from Panasonic or LG. Our Vodafone partnership is actually a global thing. We actually work with China Mobile inside the domestic market of China. What's important about these partnerships and talking about it is the Chinese consumer is very, very much attached to big brands, especially global brands, especially German brands. German brands is a sign of quality. And so the reason that we chose to work with these brands and not others within the China market was to be able to differentiate ourselves from the other 26 million electric scooters that are sold every year. We're using similar type of method as we go global. This slide was supposed to be deleted, but we'll move on. So how did we get launched in China? So in our first year, about 100,000 scooters were sold. 98% of them were sold online, delivered direct to customer. So we did a partnership with JD.com. JD.com is not the biggest e-commerce site in China, but it's the second biggest. And within JD, they have their own crowdfunding platform. So I told you, from start to today, it's 3 years. From first sketch to when we launched online, 360 days. Why is that important? What we wanted to do is get the first lithium-ion scooter into the market in China before anyone else, and we had to go from basically scratch to in the market within a year. We launched online at JD in a crowdfunding type of mechanism, and in 15 days of crowdfunding, we sold about $11 million worth of scooters. That alone would put us in the top 10 of all crowdfunding campaigns in the world, if you look at Kickstarter, Indiegogo, things along those lines. A year later, not even a year later, April 2016, we launched our second vehicle, the M1, again online, again at JD.com, and we sold, this scooter was about 2/3 the price of the first scooter, and we sold more. Now, why is this key in going to market online the way we did? In China, the millennial customer is buying everything online. In Europe, the same things are happening, but they are not that comfortable with buying this type of product online. Once we got beyond the millennial customer in China, we had to go to retail. So in the past 10 months, we've set up about 220 experience stores across China. They're about 200 square meters. They're kind of like Tesla stores. In a typical scooter shop in China, in a space this big, you would have, give or take, 50 scooters inside the store. We have 4. Everyone told us we would fail when we did it. We haven't. We keep opening more and more. We were supposed to open up 220 the entire year. We opened it up in the first 6 months. The demand is that big. Now, how do we take this model of China and begin to take it into the European markets, the Asian markets, and beyond? Well, we put together a pretty cool team of designers and our founders as well. So this guy, Token, He looks a little ridiculous here in this picture. He hates when I show it. His background is Frog Design and Microsoft. He's our founder. The guy never went to high school, so he's very atypical Chinese guy. Our head of design now, Carl Liu, comes from BMW Design Works. Our head of marketing is from Xiaomi. I assume most of you guys know Xiaomi, the phone maker. Why is this important? It's because this customer in China, which is very similar to customers globally, are looking for founders and looking for team members that inspire them, right? And we're trying to inspire this new set of millennial customer who's the urban explorer. And in China, we've built up a pretty good base of customers. As I told you, we sold 220,000 scooters. Most of them are in China. What's interesting on there is some of these data points is people who live in major metro areas and first-time electric buyers. So remember, 26 million electric scooters are sold every year in China. And over half of our customers are buying an electric scooter for the first time. Why? Because most millennial customers in China didn't want to be attached to the crappy electric scooters that were already in the market. They didn't identify with them. Major metro areas. In China, most scooters, whether they're petrol or electric, most are electric, are sold in rural areas. So our customers are coming from the downtown urban areas. And people, a third of our customers actually own a car, and over three out of four are riding it every day to go to and from work. As you know, you probably read about it, traffic in China is awful. I live in Shanghai, it's okay. Beijing is a disaster. And our customers are using this vehicle to go from home to work and then out to play on the weekends. But more importantly, they have this pride about them. Most of our customers, like I said, are under the age of 40, where a lot of other scooter companies in China, they go well into the 50s and 60s, actually. So this is the community that's been built up around the product. It's kind of like, how do I say it, a Chinese version of Harley-Davidson clubs. We don't organize any of this. They do it themselves, and they do it through our app, actually. So within our app that's connected to your scooter, the community is actually able to organize these rides and dinners and things along those lines. It's quite fun. Do we expect this to happen overnight in the European international markets? No. Will we hope that it will? Yes. So where in China we had to launch online, in the international markets, Europe is our first. In fact, we're now in 320 stores across Europe, 200 stores here in Germany. You probably never heard about us because we're just getting started. So in the European international markets, we focus in on we are a technology company, and that's what we are. We just happen to build a scooter around it. Our scooter is our first product that we actually have made, but we're looking at obviously other mobility products as well. So when I talk about a smart platform, not only can we sell our scooters directly to you as a customer, but we're partnering with fleets for postal services, sharing programs similar to what you see here with Coop in Berlin. There's many of them globally. And our goal is to focus in on this smart platform. We have two bikes, the N1, which you can walk outside and see, and if you want to ride it, you can ride it around here a little bit. This was the first bike that we brought to market. The second bike is the M1, which is coming to Germany in 6 weeks. It's a little bit smaller. This just won the Red Dot Design Award this year. Smaller, same speeds. It's not quite a scooter, but it is a scooter. We have and the women really love it as well. And so we position the two different products. This is much more a male urban vehicle, and this is the ladies' urban vehicle. So all our bikes connected all the time. So you have an app, you know where your scooter is. If it's getting stolen, you get a message, you get a text message telling you that. You know how much battery's left on it, you know how much range you got left on this thing. It's all downloadable at the App Store. And also, the last point on there, your driving habits, is interesting. So not only are our scooters connected, but they're actually sending data up, but they're actually taking data back down at the same time. So just like a Tesla, over time, our scooters get smarter. So how do they get smarter? So we're looking at all the diagnostics, all the telematics in our scooters. So as scooters figure out, as we look at the data and we figure out how people are actually riding in the European markets versus the China markets, we can actually adapt our technology for specific marketplaces so that when you pull the throttle, you're getting a certain amount of acceleration based upon your driving habits. This all evolves over time. In the European markets and the international markets, once again, we get back to our partnerships. We focus on this super technical component of it because we are a China brand, right? Everyone wants to say, you're a China brand. China brands are associated with low quality product, and that's true. Why? Because everyone that wanted China product always wanted it at the lowest cost possible. When you buy stuff at the lowest cost possible, you're going to get a very, very inferior product. So when we step up our design, we're partnering with Bosch. Again, we're partnering with Panasonic. And how we build the brand out, we showcase our technology all the way through. And this is at the store level, this is at the web level, and at our social media level as well. We talk about the functionality next. We talk about technical, then we get into functional. So all of our batteries are removable. People in Europe, when we just showed it in Milan, people were blown away by the fact that you could pull a battery out of a bike. We were like, really? We've been doing this for 10 years in China. I've been riding electric scooters in China for a decade. You get about an 80-kilometer range, and you can charge it overnight. All of this is our unique functional selling pieces for the electric scooting market. You can plug it in if you have a power adapter in your garage. And this is, I'm going to transition into where we're going in Europe right now. Like I said, we are in about 300 different stores across the European market. Our biggest market right now is Germany. Although we don't have a point on Berlin, we actually do have stores in here. This is an old slide before we had stores in Germany. And how we choose the countries we go to is based on these different factors. More or less, is it EV friendly or is it bike friendly? And then we tailor all of our marketing messages to that. And also working with local PR partners, digital ad partners to assist us. One last thing I want to leave you with is how we look at the future of mobility is a little bit different than a lot of the other scooter companies, car companies out there maybe. We look at the future of buying things as access to, we're already doing, you access an Uber. Some people call it sharing. It's not sharing because it's just not. The bike sharing that's blowing up in China, it's not sharing because Mobike and Ofo, they're the ones that buy the bikes and put them onto the market. What you're getting is access to a product. So you look at the past 40 years. I did pull this slide from another deck. It's a very good one. When we look at the 70s, where it was all product focused, especially in the US and Europe, where today it's all about building these relationships with customers, and this is what we're doing. The companies that have figured this out, obviously, are still around and haven't died. And that's why we focus on our platform, right? Because this platform is going to provide access to direct to customers and to other sharing programs as well, which will become the economy that we see going forward. So we like to emulate companies like these, because they're the ones that are actually building that, and we work with their platforms directly and indirectly in order to harness this. We look at the disruptors like Uber, Tesla, to be able to get some motivation as to where we position our product in each market. Because we want to be able to provide all these nonstop, ongoing for our customers. You don't buy our scooter today, and in 3 years your scooter is losing its ability. Actually, it improves its ability. We want to be able to eventually, just like in the China market, sell online to customers, whether that's with our partners, our distribution partners, or our retail partners. Because the biggest problem with online commerce right now in Europe, especially in our business, is that the retailers get very scared about us coming online. But we want to partner with our retailers to give them a whole new window and access to customers, because their traditional customers would never buy online, but the e-commerce customers, the millennial customer, would never go into their store. So we're providing this new gateway to give access to customers into stores, and stores, dealers, throughout Europe, access to these customers. So everything that we build around this, whether it's how we go to market with crowd commerce, how we price everything, our sharing capabilities with sharing programs, our collaborations with outside design studios, to our experience stores across Europe, is all built around this common theme of an access economy. And if you have any questions about what we're doing at NIU, or what e-mobility and e-scooters are all about from China, I'd be happy to talk to you. If you have questions about China and what it takes to build something in China, you can also ask those questions. So thank you.
Joseph. So we actually have the chance to ask some questions right away. So do you have a question ready already? Otherwise, I'll start. Oh, 2, perfect. So where's our microphone? It's behind you.
Hi. I'm interested in how you harness these relationships with your customers.
In China? Specifically right now or globally?
Yeah, maybe they're even like how do you address the differences between China and Europe?
Okay.
And,
so in China, they're very active on the app. They're opening it 3 to 4 times a day, which is usually just trying to check the location of their bike, but sometimes interacting in the social media space of our app. In Europe so far, we only have we have less than 5,000 scooters on the roads of Europe right now, so the data is it's very skewed in terms of how do I compare China versus Europe, because we've only been selling since January. But what I can tell you about the app use right now and working with them is that it's on a very limited basis because we don't have the social features that we have in China on our app because of EU data protection security rules. So we have to bring those pieces of our app in. But we're looking to roll those out in 2018 once we figure that out. Okay.
Do you have a community or something?
Yeah, so inside the app, you can imagine it like Instagram, right? So people post pictures. Yeah, so people are posting pictures about their rides. People can chat with each other inside there once they create little groups. And then they set up like that first slide where there's all those people driving together. That's how it's built. So it happens in there, and then it goes usually offline, or so onto another app, WeChat. So, I mean, you all know WeChat, so it all kind of migrates into that space.
So there'll be some new children soon. It's kind of like probably like Tinder a little bit. For the app.
I don't know. I'll have to find out. I don't know if there's any if there's any new love, but I'm sure there is.
Okay, next question, please.
Do you know UNO? I think
Yes.
they're like in Germany the market leaders at the moment. What do you think about the?
You know, I've never ridden their product. It's tough for us to get our hands on some of them. You know, I have a couple guys come up to me and ask me about it. You know, there's a lot of there's a number of e-scooter companies that are coming out right now from Europe and also from Asia. So technically, we're the largest by 10x. So we've done now, that slide was old, so we've done close to 250,000 units now. And, you know, what I'll say about the other products that are on the market right now is that obviously we have a head start. We have almost 400 million kilometers driven on our scooters. We understand it. And then to directly answer your question about UNO, because I haven't driven it, it's really hard for me to compare like for like. But my biggest problem running international globally is introducing the idea of electric scooters to a market. So the more electric scooter brands that come in, I'm happy, right? Because it makes it a little bit easier to indoctrinate, you know, the masses into, you know, you need to be on an e-scooter versus a petrol scooter. So UNO, Askell, Tourat, obviously Go-Go Road through the Coupe program. You know, this is all good for the larger ecosystem.
What's the retail price in Germany?
So the retail price in Germany with the VAT is 2,800 euro for the first one, and then the smaller one is 2,400 euro.
Right, another question all the way in the back.
Yeah, what are your plans for the African market?
African market?
Yeah.
The developing markets are very interesting for us. So I spend most of my time on the plane. I just came in from India. I was just before that I was in Mexico, and we have teams in Southeast Asia. Africa, you know, we look at a couple markets there: South Africa, Nigeria, and Egypt.
Kenya?
Maybe Kenya. The issue really is the pricing, right? You know, if we're selling a 2,000 to 3,000 euro scooter here in Europe, how do we price it appropriately into the African market or even other developing world markets? We have to come up with new products specifically for those markets, right? And so we have kind of a checklist of regions that we're going through. And Africa, we're looking at, if we were going to go into the African market initially, it would be focused in on those where we can move hundreds or maybe just thousands of scooters at the current European price points to test out the market. Then to go to a product that's a little bit more mainstream, we would have to develop a product specifically for example, the Kenya market.
All right, that concludes our session, I say. No? Then we move on to the break. Perfect, thanks a lot, Joseph.
Enjoy your lunch, guys.
He'll be around.